Most men, the first thing that they say is, hey, don't worry about that. She doesn't ever go, you know what? You're right. Why am I worrying about that? Does she? She then clenches up and tightens and says, he doesn't care about me, or he doesn't have time for me, or I'm not a priority. And she long-term will internalize that. Most women will have a hard time to desire to want to connect intimately with you. I wasn't saying how much I admired his progress on things. And I didn't create an environment where he felt like he could win. Nothing he could do was ever going to be good enough. So do you offer this freedom for your spouse to be how they are, even if it's difficult for you? Today, we're going to dive into what shuts down intimacy in marriage. Both of you more than likely desire connection. So in part of this video, I'm going to go through what shuts down intimacy in women. And the other part, I'm going to go through what shuts down intimacy in men. So if you're married, this will be a great video to watch and then have feedback and maybe watch it with your spouse on a date night. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribed. 79% of you watching this video are not subscribed. And there are nuggets, bombs, great stuff about intimacy, connection, and communication in marriage. So what shuts down intimacy in marriage? Just briefly, for women, there's 3 U's that shut down intimacy in marriage: feeling unseen, unheard, and unsafe. So how do you make your wife feel seen? One way that men don't make them feel seen is when you come home from work and your wife has worries and things going on and frustrations, and she comes to you and says, hey, this is what's going on with me. Most men, the first thing that they say is, hey, don't worry about that. And she doesn't ever go, you know what? You're right. Why am I worrying about that? Does she? She then clenches up and tightens and says, you know what? And here's this message that he doesn't care about me, or he doesn't have time for me, or I'm not a priority. And she long-term will internalize that. And so one way to make her feel seen is, even if things are not a big deal to you, she's a different person. She has different sensitivities. Being willing to allow her to have feelings that are different from you when it comes to worrying about things or being stressed about things. Another way to make her feel seen is by asking her how you can show up for her and actually paying attention. Is what I'm doing landing? Does she feel loved? Am I giving her attention all the time? Like, the tiny moments matter more than what you know. When she's on her phone and she goes to share something with you and she's excited about this, or she sees a flower, and those things maybe don't matter to you. But what those are little moments of connection that you could have. And oftentimes, I bet you're missing it. So even if you stop this video right now, that nugget should be a big takeaway. Are you paying attention to when your spouse is looking for your attention, and are you giving it to them? Or are you so preoccupied with what's going on with you that you don't even have time for them? So secondly, what shuts down intimacy with women is feeling unheard, so not understood. So she might be sharing something with you, and I'll preface it with this. She has, more than likely, way more words than you men. As women, we tend to be external processors. So we say out loud what's going on for us, and just the saying of it out loud releases some of the pressure of it, releases some of the emotions of it. But what happens oftentimes is when women start talking, men go into solve it mode. They say, okay, this is the problem, and I'm going to fix it. And that's not what your wife is looking for. She wants your real presence, not distracted conversation. I hear so many times that I go to talk to him and he's trying to, relax from the day. Maybe the business is busy and work was busy. So I get it. When you walk in that door, are you ready, husbands, to offer her real presence? That's not distracted. That's not you checking out and zoning out. Are you ready to show up and help? For us, Skylar had to be in his car a little bit longer before coming home in order to offer real presence when he got home. See, where some men miss it is they walk back in those doors and they're like, okay, now serve me. And that might work for some couples, but we've worked with thousands of couples, and that for most women does not work. For some women, they're barely surviving, especially if they're staying home with the kids. They need help. They need support. And maybe it's not doing the dishes or cooking the food, but are you helping with the kids? Are you being present and offering yourself? When she says, hey, how was your day? Are you just saying good and not giving anything? Or are you letting her into your world and willing to share of yourself and create everyday connection? Because this feeling unseen, feeling unheard, and the next one is feeling unsafe. Without those, most women will have a hard time to desire to want to connect intimately with you. She needs these core things. And if you fill up those core things and keep them filled up, I would imagine that your intimate life, your sex life will blossom. We see it every single time at our marriage event that we run called Elevate. Couples learn how to create everyday emotional intimacy, and then they have an amazing time at night and create physical intimacy. But because this foundation is laid for a woman, she opens up and she blossoms. So are you making your wife feel safe? There's so many caveats of this. So it's not just, are you not being physically abusive or verbally abusive, right? Some men think, well, you know what? I provide the money and she has this great lifestyle, so that's all I have to do for her. And you will fall far short of what's needed for her. So safety, even in that moment where she says, hey, I'm worrying about this stuff, safety is saying, I could understand how you would feel that way. Like, she matters. When my kids are trying to dominate me, Skylar can be on his phone, he can be distracted, he can be doing something else. But the moment he steps in and says, hey, you don't talk to your mom like that, that creates a level of safety for me. In arguments, are you a safe person in arguments? Or do you blow your lid? Are you constantly threatening divorce? Can she trust your word? So much of safety comes with your word. Do you do what you say you're going to do? Or are there always compromises or changes? Can she rely on the fact that if you say you're going to be home at 5, or you say you're going to fix the shutter that's broken, or you say you're going to do whatever it is you're going to do, that you actually do it? Or do you make empty promises over and over again so she doesn't know whether she can rely on you or not? When a woman doesn't know that she can rely on you or not, she will take on the masculine. She will guard her heart. She will close herself off. And so are you a trusted presence in her life? Do you offer her reassurance? I don't know what it is, but most women need way more reassurance of your love, that you are committed to them, that you care about them, than men do. Skylar and I can spend a whole weekend together, and he will be filled up. He doesn't need much from me, and he could go days. Well, for me, legitimately, on Tuesday, I miss him. He's my person. I am more emotionally needy than he is. And he could say, well, kind of get over it. You know, my needs are met. But he's willing to look past what he needs and show up for me. And so are you willing to go above and beyond for your spouse, or are you more focused on the needs that you have? So those were the 3 things that shut down intimacy for women. And so now, ladies, tune in. What shuts down intimacy for your husband? One of the greatest things that shuts down intimacy for men is being criticized. He never feels like he can win or that he can do anything good enough. And so when was the last time you appreciated him, you admired him verbally, energetically? This for me showed up when my kids would wake up in the morning. I would be like, good morning. And I'm so excited to see them. And even though this wasn't outward criticism, when Skylar would come home, I'd be like, hey. And he wouldn't get this enthusiasm, this admiration, and this appreciation. And so one day he called it out and said, hey, you're so excited to see the kids. Are you mad at me for something? Because you don't get excited when I walk in the door. And he was so right. And so now I make it a point that when he comes in, he's the most important person. In our house, it is God, him, and then our kids. And so are you showing up like that for your spouse? Are you saying thank you for this? And like on a daily basis, are you verbally appreciating him, even if he's not perfect? See, what I found is most wives don't give appreciation easily. They have this expectation that their husband is perfect, especially if there's been hurt and broken trust or infidelity or porn in the relationship. They withhold appreciation, but it doesn't give him encouragement in the progress. So for me, it used to look like Skylar could not look at porn or look at anything inappropriate for 100 days. Just a random example. I would be neutral about that. I wouldn't be appreciative. I wouldn't be thankful. I wouldn't be grateful. I would just be neutral about it. But then if he looked at something, let's say on day 100, he looked at something, he would lose all of that progress. And we would start back at, I don't trust you. I don't appreciate that. But he never got any of the good times. When he actually was doing well, I wasn't appreciative of it. I wasn't saying how much I admired his progress on things. And I didn't create an environment where he felt like he could win. Nothing he could do was ever going to be good enough. Another thing that shuts down intimacy with men is you being closed, ladies. So not being playful, just being serious, always having a task at hand. And that would be being in your masculine, like, okay, this is what we got to do. One of the things that Skylar said, I was like, okay, hey, I want to have sex with you. Let's connect. He's like, that does not turn me on at all. That is not like, can we try that again? And he was so right. I was closed. I was task oriented. I was driven, and it didn't create connection between the two of us. There was no polarity because I want him to be in his masculine. But when I show up in my masculine, not playful, not go with the flow, not joyful, it's repelling to him. And I didn't know how to do that. See, I've always run my own business. I've had my own business since I was 19 years old. And so I lost this playfulness and this fluidity and this go with the flow and took on the masculine, not only in my business, but in my everyday life. And that is exactly what Rise Up Queens is about. So I run 3-day events for women, and I help them tap back into that playful side, the person they were when they met their husband and when they were like passionate and joyful and just the beginning of everything. I help women reclaim that monthly. If you haven't checked that out, the link is in the bio. But continuing on. So ladies, we shut down our men when we criticize, when we feel closed, and when we're controlling. In my events, I ask the women all the time, how many of you guys think that you're controlling? And maybe 10% of the room raises their hand. And then we go through what it looks like to actually be controlling, like offering, unsolicited advice where you think you're being helpful. Underneath so much of that root is unhealthy control. And we go through there's 20 different ways that women can show up in a controlling way. And they're like, ooh. So I asked the question at the end of the event or at the end of this conversation and say, how many of you guys believe you're controlling? And almost every single woman shows up. And so if you have fear going on inside of you often and you let that fear drive your behavior, more than likely you are being controlling. If you tell your husband what to wear, if you're constantly worried about what he's saying in front of other people and correcting him, or he can't clean right, or can't do the dishes right, or can't parent right, that will bring the feeling that he is being controlled. And so do you offer this space in your marriage for him to be him? This was so difficult for me in the beginning because I was very self-righteous and thought that my way was the way that it needed to be done, and essentially wanted to marry a male version of me. And that would have been absolutely horrible. And so in every interaction, I got mad or would be frustrated whenever my spouse wouldn't do it the way that I wanted him to do it. And it was so messed up. Like, it just did not work for the relationship. So he felt controlled, criticized, condemned, all of that, all of the time. And I had to learn that my way isn't always the best way. And I am married to this unique and different person. And am I allowing them to be them? I mean, something so simple as Skylar, my husband, loves wrestling with the kids. Someone always cries at the end of this. And normally it's my younger son. And so I hate this wrestling process. And I would resist it for so long. I would try and control it. I would try and be in there. I would navigate it. I'm like, I'm in there in the middle of them. Like, I am ruining boy fun time at one point in our life. And finally, I just had to release, like, he's a man. And he is raising men, and he's going to raise them different than I do. And he's going to bring something different to the marriage than I am. And I should not be controlling in that. And so do you offer this freedom for your spouse to be how they are, even if it's difficult for you, without pressure? And allow them to make mistakes. If they're running a business or they're investing, are you so fearful that you're going to lose money or things are going to go bad that you go in there and put your hands in there and try and do it your way? Or is this freedom like, you know what? I trust you. You make great decisions. No matter what happens, I love you. Like, I'm in this with you. It's a completely different environment. I'd love to hear what stood out for you. If you got to the end of this, definitely make sure you're subscribed and share this with your spouse so you can create an environment where you have massive polarity, where the husband's in his masculine and the wife is in her feminine, or at least knows how to access it. And then you two have the connection and passion and intimacy that God designed for your marriage.